Cool. All right, cool. Good morning, comrades. It is a Friday. Friday. My lights aren't on. Let's put those lights on. How we doing today? It is Friday, the 19th of March, 2021. My name is Jeff, and this is your daily Good Morning Comrade. How's everybody doing today? I kind of had to get together really quickly this morning, so let me go ahead and tweet out the link. We are currently live on Facebook, YouTube, and on Twitch, twitch.tv/Good Morning Comrade. Facebook, search Good Morning Comrade, and facebook.com/Good Morning Comrade. But yeah, how's everybody doing today? It is a beautiful Friday. It's gotten really cold. And you know what that means? That means that all the pollen and all the spring stuff decides to just blast out into the world. That means I can't breathe half the time and I can't talk. So if I sound a little jacked up, that's why. There they are. So that's sort of like what I got on the past week really. I've been running a lot of cable wires, like setting up computer internet at like different places if anybody cares. It's been a pretty interesting thing. I mean, I've never done this before. Um, just spending a lot of time in attics of old buildings. We're actually in the old WTIX, like old East Station building, and I gotta tell you, it's old, and dot like getting through different like parts of of like insulation in the ceiling and throwing wires over all that stuff. It's kind of crazy. Anyway, you didn't come here to listen to any of that. Leave the hat on. Cover up my jacked up ass hair. Didn't even get time to brush my hair this morning. But yeah, Friday, the 19th of March. Maybe I'll do a makeup show this weekend for yesterday. Yeah, sorry about that. We had a little extra stuff to do with work. Anyway, good morning, comrade. Time in. All right, tweet is out. So let us look and see. So there was a really interesting story that I wanted to talk about, but I worry that people on here might not be as interested in it. But I don't know. It's about so just the other day, it was either yesterday or the day before, a journalist named David Bixenspan, who writes about professional wrestling of all things, he wrote an article because there's these rumors, right, about Lauren Boebert, who is she's a right wing congresswoman from Colorado. She is known for owning a restaurant called Shooters in the area in Colorado. That essentially she had a fake story talking about why the place became like a gun themed restaurant. And it was based around a fake story of somebody like getting beaten up and killed outside of a restaurant when actually they had overdosed, which is that's a little scary and terrifying as well. But the story was a total lie. And then the new sort of accusation, or the new sort of like rumor rather, is that she is the daughter of professional wrestler Stan Lane, 80s professional wrestler Stan Lane. So let me find this article. Right. Who is Lauren Boebert's father? The strange saga of Lauren Boebert's pro wrestler paternity case. Now, Normally I would feel a little bit weird about covering this kind of thing. But as I'd said before, uh, Lauren Boebert in particular is an odious individual. Let me give an example of her terribleness. First off, she had well, right now here. Here's an article just the most recently from yesterday from Salon. Her calling, she's accusing the transgender community of quote destroying God's creation, which pretty pretty bad look. You really are kind of buying into each and every one of the tropes that gets trans folks attacked and murdered. You want to get into it, Jenny? Do y'all want to talk about this? Hell yeah. Okay. If y'all are here for it, let's cover it. So, um, so that's the story on this. Who is Lauren Boebert's father is what I actually want to talk about today, though. The strange saga of Lauren Boebert's pro wrestler paternity case. The gun-toting Colorado congresswoman rarely mentions her father, but in a trail of YouTube comments, she and her mother have singled out one man, 1980s journeyman tag team specialist, Sweet Stan Lane. Incredible. So this is something it's a little bit sad in the sense that like she doesn't know who her father is. Um, like that's not something that needs to be that's not exactly what I'm making fun of her for here. But the story here is really interesting. Maybe you need to talk to this is from the article. Maybe you need to talk to your hubby a little more about this, began the YouTube comment from approximately 2008. Quote, he is the only one that told my mom she was pregnant. And he is the only one who called the house after it was verified by the doctor, begging my mother to abort me. Though the account being used belonged to a woman named Shauna Benz, the references to, quote, my mom and, quote, begging my mother to abort me suggest it was actually written by her daughter, Lauren Boebert, when in her 20s. Though court records and social media accounts alternatingly referred to Benz as Sean and Shauna, we're sticking with Shauna for the purposes of this article because it's the name she uses in her active Twitter account. And here's her Twitter account. Shauna Roberts Ben. Oh, wow. The picture is Trump. And this is, every tweet is a Lauren Boebert retweet or, yeah, everything is Lauren Boebert. This is like the most mom account of the most psycho person, one of the most psycho people in Congress. The other half of the discussion has been deleted from YouTube, but the numerous comments from Benz's account give enough context that the topic of the conversation could come into focus. It appears that Benz and seemingly Boebert were arguing with a woman named Maria Lane about whether her husband, retired wrestler Sweet Stan Lane, real named Wallace Stanfield Lane, was the biological father of the future congresswoman for Colorado's 3rd District and had fabricated a negative paternity test. Interesting. Thumbs up to the thumbs up to Comrade, thumbs down to the haters and bigots. Exactly. If you're not in Colorado and have heard of Boebert, you may know her as the freshman congresswoman who's been lumped in with Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia as the QAnon congresswoman. Yeah, Boebert's mother is an open QAnon adherent. Boebert has denied being a follower, but has said that she hopes the conspiracy theory is real. So she denies that she's following, but she hopes that it's real. Like, what does that even mean? Like, she hopes that people are like the elites are like abducting and trafficking children. Before her election, she was a minor conservative media celebrity thanks to her gun-themed restaurant, Shooter's Grill, in Rifle, Colorado. As for Lane, he's best known, depending on where he grew up, as half of either the Fabulous Ones or Steve Kern, or with Steve Kern, or the Midnight Express with Bobby Eaton. With the leading man looks and the long blonde hair, it wasn't exactly a shock that his secondary nickname was the Gangster of Love. Incredible. As the fabulous ones, he and Kern were very specifically marketed as heartthrobs, so you can imagine what his life was like in the entertainment field, where performers having sex with fans was explicitly encouraged and considered good for the business. So that's like one of the weird things about professional wrestling is that like you would say essentially go find some female fans and yeah. Still, he was infamous among his fellow wrestlers for just how much sex he was having. The biggest sex ever in wrestling. One thing I saw Stan opening his door carrying about 10 jumbo-sized bottles of baby oil, wrote Mick Foley in his first memoir. Mick Foley is uh, very like former champion of the World Wrestling Federation. I didn't have to rack my brain to figure out what was going on in Stan's room that night. Though the connection between the wrestler and the congressman looks to have been initially mentioned by a Twitter user going by the name Colby Giffen, in Bobert's replies on January 23rd, it caught fire on February 10th. That's when Panda for Bernie tweeted a thread of screenshots of and links to Benz's posts at Will Menaker, host of the popular Dirtbag Left podcast Chapo Trap House. So let's take a look. Here's the screenshots. Will Stan Lane be there? Perhaps he can introduce his 26-year-old daughter, Lauren Roberts Bobert, who has refused to acknowledge all these years. She looks so much like his mom, who just turned 93, and sadly has never met her granddaughter of 9 grandchildren. By the way, I'm Stan's maternal first cousin. There must have been a 1990 paternity fraud, but 2013 autosomal DNA is awesome. Huh. So this is basically some receipts. This is from the mom. She did tell them. Even took a pic. Good morning, Ginny. That she even took it from the gal and said, "See what money can do for you? See, Maria, does Stan still have that picture? Why would he keep a pic of a child that is not his?" So apparently he's like faking paternity tests and still holding on to pictures of. This is all alleged, by the way. Anyway, this is a link. So Panda for Bernie also tells them that the first found out about the link from a post on a wrestling sub forum. And here's a link to a screenshot of a paternity test. This can't be real. Oh, it's a jury. I mean, a legal filing of some kind. It's Biden, but that's pretty crude. So anyway, after Panda for Bernie's thread gained traction, internet sleuths went looking for more, finding further posts by searching Benz's past tweets and searching sketchy YouTube rehosting sites to find her YouTube comments, since Google doesn't index them. All told, between what Panda for Bernie posted and what has surfaced elsewhere, Benz's accounts posted about Lane 13 times in the YouTube comment thread circa 2008. Once on Facebook in September 2013, and twice on Twitter a few weeks later, with Bobert's account also commenting twice on the YouTube videos in that approximate late 2013 time frame. At first, everyone just kind of laughed at the idea that Sweet Stan Lane fathered one of the QAnon congresswomen. That does not sound shocking at all, actually. But as the old social media posts further proliferated across the wrestling fan sphere, it developed a weird credibility. After all, Lane isn't famous enough to be a name at the center of a conspiracy theory, but it also made a certain kind of sense, given his rep. And as luck would have it, Bobert was born December 19th, 1986. She's younger than me? Oh, God. Well, I just had a moment. In Florida, a time when Lane was based out of Sunshine State, working full-time for Championship Wrestling from Florida, a regional company. Benz's hometown, Altamonte Springs, is in the Orlando metropolitan area, and Lane wrestled in Orlando 4 times in 1986, the general time period in which Bobert would have been conceived. Interesting. Based on the date of birth she would later give on paternity testing paperwork, Benz would have been 17 years old at the time, with her 18th birthday coming on June 18th, 1986. Whether or not Lane would have been committing a crime by having sex with her is unclear based on Florida laws in effect back then. Quote, carnal intercourse with an unmarried. So she was 17? Yeah. And this carnal intercourse with an unmarried person under 18. Wow, a felony. Ew. With any unmarried person of previous chaste character. Wow, that's a really interesting phraseology here to be ensconced in law. Who at the time of such intercourse is under 18 years of age. Further, a defense citing previous unchaste character would be moot when the lack of previous chaste previous chaste character in the prosecuting witness was caused solely by previous. Okay, this is weird. Um, Sal Carenti, Lane's representative in the wrestling world, declined to comment on anything related to Bobert, while an email sent to Lane's wife was left unanswered. Likewise, Bobert's press secretary, Jake Saddle, didn't respond to emails requesting comment for this story. So basically, this is not getting anything from either side. According to Lane's answer to the paternity suits, dated April 11th, 1990, Lane didn't dispute the claim by Benz, but that they had sex on March 9th, 1986, a night which that he was wrestling in Orlando. However, he denies being the natural father of a minor child, Lauren Opal Roberts, per a sworn paternity affidavit that Ben signed on August 24th, 1987. So he's basically saying swearing under oath that this is not my kid. Now, does he know that? Probably not, but he's definitely distancing himself from it. So Stan Lane's like a deadbeat dad, apparently. Lane's response upon learning that she was pregnant was that she would get an abortion, just like that 2008-ish YouTube comment would later allege. Though Benz later filed at least 4 different paternity lawsuits against Lane at home in Seminole County. It took it till spring of 1990 for her family to be able to serve him in Mecklenburg County, North Carolina, where he had lived since the spring of 1987. Huh. This goes on quite a bit. There's a lot going on here. He didn't go to Florida for a while, but then the process of server came to Charlotte, recalled Lane's longtime friend, on-screen manager, and road trip companion Jim Cornette on one of his podcasts. Okay, Jim Cornette is like a particularly like wrapped up in weird stuff individual. He's like especially now he's like known particularly as like the guy who basically like shits on everything. He's known right now for shitting on like specifically like Japanese women wrestlers. He's like a he's got this weird like resistance, like anti-Trump, like kind of a lib vibe, but he's also like extremely racist. Like there was an incident that he had recently with a wrestler who is working for a company called AEW who came over to do like a couple of spots from Japan. Her name is Maki Ito, and he basically just called her like a fetish. It's really really disgusting, especially considering the like extreme violence and the uptick in violence against Asian American people in the U.S. Like Jim Cornette's not a good dude. Anyway, Lan was fully dressed in the fucking shower of the new Charlotte Coliseum when the guy peeked in and said, "You must be Stan Lane." He acted like he was trying to effing, repair the shower nozzle or something. Cornette then doubled back to give further background details. He did have a paternity suit in Florida, Cornette explained. There was one swing down there in, I think, 1990 for WCW when Buddy Landel substituted 3 nights for Stan Lane when he couldn't particularly go to Florida. Cornette's close. It was 2 shows with Landel in July 1990. Jacko Victory subbed for Lane a few months earlier in Ocala, and Tommy Rich had replaced him on 3 occasions in July 1987. Lane would return to Florida in October 1990, just a few weeks before he and Cornette would quit WCW. Man, this is like side story. Cornette remembered the attempt to serve Lane with his paternity suit occurring at the first wrestling card at the modern version of the Charlotte Coliseum, which took place on August 27th, 1988. And that piece of information helps confirm that this was the Bobert case. A Mecklenburg County summons for the paternity case from August 15th expressly instructs whoever was to serve Lane to, quote, please attempt service on August 27th after 8 p.m. and list the Coliseum as the wrestler's care of address. So they're trying to like serve him with a with a summons, like a subpoena, and this is like the advice, and this is a paternity summons. It's also known the wrestler. In fact, despite living in the area, nobody managed to serve him until April 1990, according to a level. So he basically was like ducking the like ducking the subpoena for like a couple of years. It looks like at least 2 years. The newer summons dated March 8th contained similar instructions to the one from 1988. Please serve at the Coliseum on 4/1 April Fool's Day 1990. We'll be wrestling with tag team Midnight Express. I love this. The instructions are like, this is the tag team that he's going to be like working with that night. If you can like find a way to serve him the summons. Start time at 7 p.m. Picture attached. Indeed, Lane and Eaton wrestled in Charlotte that night, losing to Brian Pillman and Tom Zank. Sorry for your loss. After 5 weeks later, on May 7th, Judge Robert P. Johnston issued an order to compel a paternity test. It would take until July for the blood to be drawn, with Benz and Bobert going to what looks to be a publicly run Florida lab on July 18th, Lane going to genetic design in Charlotte on July 25th. So finally they got the paperwork. Finally they got the specimens. Finally they got this thing rolling. Good morning. Good morning, G Wolf. Good morning, Gary. Welcome to the show. We're talking about the mystery, the curious case of Stan Lane and Lauren Boebert. Is Stan Lane Lauren Boebert's dad? We'll find out. This is an article from Mel Magazine, written by David Bixenspan. And this is stuff's like catnip for me. I don't know. This is like weird dish, and it's Friday, so like we do Friday fun day type stuff. So I figure why not. I'm thinking maybe I should do a just to kind of like slow down a little bit. I'm thinking I might do, because I had to miss yesterday, another extra episode tomorrow, depending on how things go. So keep your eyes peeled. I'm not usually doing anything at 8 in the morning anyway. So continuing, just to kind of like bring us up, there's suspicion that Stan Lane, who was a professional wrestler in the 1980s, that he is the father of Lauren Boebert, who was born in 1986. He's finally served with summons to Stan Lane is finally served with a summons to basically take a paternity test in 1990. So I guess this would be when she's 4 years old. And now we're checking and seeing what the paternity test results say. The results came in on August 29th, 1990. That's Hurricane Katrina Day in 2005. Also, it's my parents' anniversary. And unfortunately for Benz and Bobert, they ruled Lane out as the father. Oh, okay. Wallace Stan Lane, the alleged father, lacks the genetic markers, KID and a HLA A44, which were present in the child. I guess those are genetic markers. Lauren O. Roberts, and are absent from the mother. Reads the conclusion of the report. Therefore, he alleged the father cannot be the biological father of the child. But so the first test says not the father. That was pretty much the last word until Bobert was 21 and the YouTube comment war started. In the interim, we have to rely on a letter that Ben sent to the North Carolina State Bureau of Investigation, which North Carolina has a Bureau of Investigation. This is 2012, so we're fast forwarding 22 years. When I received the paternity evaluation report in 1990, that excluded Stan as Lauren's father. I knew there was either a mistake made in the testing or that fraud had been involved, Benz wrote. Now, remember, this is Lawrence Bobert's mom. She is a Q supporter, so like science does not affect her at all. So she basically has made up her mind that it's fraud, whether or not it's true. I mean, like it might be true, but science does not affect people like her because she is a Q believer and like thinks that everyone is lying and there's a conspiracy to like traffic children and she wants to save the children. My instinct was that Stan's attorney had just taken care of everything for him, but I knew that despite the injustice to our daughter, Lauren, my youth and limited financial resources were no match to Stan's celebrity status and monetary assets. Slaughter is her grandpa. I don't know. She doesn't have the Slaughter chin. As Benz wrote, she soon noticed a red flag that would eventually become more relevant. Quote, I did note that there was no Polaroid photo of Stan in the information and did ask my Florida caseworker to request it, she continued. About a month later, I recall having a small cutout photo of Stan, not a Polaroid, that looked like it was like he was posing. He's a wrestler. What do you expect? I also noted that he was wearing sweats in that photo, even though his blood was drawn in the heat of the summer. Not long after receiving that photo, a friend and I were in a local drugstore and looking through some wrestling magazines. And he did see that same photo of Stan, except the magazine photo had him sitting next to another wrestler. So they're thinking like it was like a fake photo or something like that. Because he was wearing sweatpants and she's saying that this is fake because he was wearing sweatpants and it was summer. I mean, like, I don't know. That's not pretty strong evidence. The photo that she claims to have received in 1990 is attached to Benz's copy of Lane's side of the testing records. As indicated above, Benz expressed skepticism in her 2012 letter over the photograph not being from a Polaroid instant camera, like the picture of her and Bobert. And so I guess that's significant because I don't know. Why is that significant? Why is it? I guess because you wouldn't have to get it developed. So you would get like a Polaroid. You would take the picture and just put it like on the paperwork while you're there. That makes sense. I guess it makes sense. As indicated above, Benz expressed skepticism in her 2012 letter over the photograph not being from a Polaroid instant camera, like the picture of her and Bobert. And though a badly Xerox copy is all we have, it's not unreasonable to suggest that it looks conspicuously incongruous with the claim that it was Lane's blood test photo. So this is like the evidence that it was a fake. But with little more than the claim of having seen the magazine, if Ben's bought it, it doesn't seem like she kept it. There wasn't really anything that she could do to refute the negative paternity test. Quote, I remember thinking to myself that he got away with it, and I just tucked away all those paternity documents, she added in the 2012 letter. She and Boba would move to Colorado less than a year later, in August 1991, and Benz eventually got married. She has 4 sons with her husband. You figured it would be the Sheik? Oh no, the original Sheik or the Iron Sheik? All right, and here's like one of the documents. Yeah, that doesn't. I mean, you can't tell. All we have is the Xerox of the paperwork. It doesn't even have anything written on there. Like, why is all this scratched out? Why all this lab stuff scratched out? Huh. According to Ben's 2012 letter to the South Carolina, the Bureau of Investigation, when Barbara was 13, she obtained the phone number for and then called Jean Lane, Stan's mother, the Iron Sheik. Oh God. Jean allegedly promised to share Bobert's number with Stan, who called back a month later, according to the same letter. Quote, I did talk to him and had Lauren listen in for on another line, Benz wrote in 2012. During that phone conversation, he kept saying he, quote, knew in his heart that Lauren wasn't his daughter. He never once mentioned in the 1990 blood test. Bobert apparently jumped in to stress that she wanted a relationship, not money, with Lane, responding that he'd have to ask his lawyer, at least per Benz's account. Either way, she alleges that he never called back. That's really sad. Like, I don't know. That might be like like total conjecture that might be like trying to get like emotion or whatever. But like he's just saying like I'm not the father, I'm not the father, I'm not the father. Tell it to my lawyer, and like you put a 4 year or I mean I think she was 4 years old at the time. Yeah, 1990. Um, when she was 13. I beg your pardon. A teenage kid. Saying I want a relationship with your dad, and like he's like no. That's a little sad. I mean, Lauren Boebert is definitely a very damaged person. So I mean, this could be like part of what contributes to her being so like messed up. I don't know. Um, I don't know. Chat. What do y'all think? I mean, like, y'all throw in what your thoughts are on this sort of thing. Kind of help me out on it. After moving, by the way, the Iron Sheik. I, just as an aside, before we continue on, the Iron Sheik now is like a parody of himself. He's kind of like decided to just make his entire gimmick that he just talks crap about everybody. But like I don't know. It's like it was a way that he's kind of like gotten back to relevance in some meaningful way. I mean, it's been like that for like 10, 12 years. After moving to a new home in Rifle, Colorado, Benz found and reviewed the paternity test case records, consulting an attorney about the quote irregularities, but neglecting to pursue a lawsuit due to the costs. She wrote. Coincidentally, later in 2001, per Benz's account, Cindy Strawn, Lane's cousin, reached out to Boebert. The date appears to be in error, as Benz claimed that Strawn reached out after discovering a YouTube comment thread argument between Benz, Boebert, and Stan's wife Maria. But again, that took place around late 2008. Benz's attached copy paste of two comments seemingly confirms this, as the attachment to the 2012 document has a date stamp of 4 years ago. What are we talking about here? Seems, oh gosh. So this is bribe, charge clouds, paternity testing, and genetic design. A woman has been charged with taking money to switch blood samples in a paternity case. Paternity suits throughout North Carolina may be questioned after a Durham woman was charged with taking a bribe to switch blood samples of a man suspected of being a father. She drew the blood sample for Genetic Design, a Greensboro-based company that has the country's largest paternity testing service. So Karen Weary, 36, was arrested on August 24th in Orange County. She was charged with switch. So she got charged. She got charged for switching the blood sample. Uh-oh. Seems as though the roids have got, what is this? This is the YouTube comments. Seems as though the roids have gotten to your brain. You send Lauren the fraudulent paternity test, which says the male version of whose blood was drawn was a type B. Then you turn around and say, FYI, Stan doesn't have type B blood type. This is so childish. This is also my last post to you. Stop living in denial, Stan is a great loving husband. You see, this is what Lauren has been trying to tell you all along. Fraud, fraud, fraud. When Stan talked to Lauren a few years back, he made it clear that he didn't want to talk to her anymore. Huh. I want to ask you who's the Iron Sheik, but last time I did that, I ended up finding out about Jimmy Dore. No, the Iron Sheik is a old wrestler from the 1980s. His gimmick, like his character rather, was that he was like an anti-American from Iran. It was like, I mean, he's actually Iranian, and there was a really wild storyline where Sergeant Slaughter, who was like one of these like super American, like a drill sergeant type character, he like turned, this is like right in around like 91, 92, when the Iraq war was happening, and he turned into an Iranian sympathizer, which was like really controversial. I mean, wrestling knows how to push buttons. I mean, it got mainstream press. I remember my dad had a freak out about it, like never watch wrestling again or whatever. He's definitely not as bad as Dore. He's like a character. Like the Iron Sheik is not. He's not a political figure in any way. Though all of Maria's George the Animal Steele's the father. Oh my gosh. I don't know if Lauren's hairy enough for that. Though all of her tongue isn't green either. Though all of Maria's contributions to the YouTube discussion appear to have been deleted at some point before September 2012, it does read, contextually speaking, as if Benz's account was indeed arguing with Maria Lane. Case in point, a comment from Bobert's separate account, which is no longer on YouTube but is included in the copy paste, appears to help bolster the claim. The timestamp that Benz pasted reads as Bobert in a reply to Aloha Maria 66. And all of the substantive Google results for the later username all point to a woman in North Carolina who is almost surely Maria Lane. So this is like them having a fight over this whole thing. He was a legit bodyguard for the Shaw. I mean, cool. That's awesome. I mean, the Iron Sheik does seem like a IRL badass. Google hits for the username yield her TripAdvisor profile, which features a photo of Maria and Stan Lane, as well as a series of posts from 2011 on the Collegiate Sports Nation forum that were devoted to Aloha Maria 666, debunking a rumor that Lane had lied. An obituary placed in Memphis Commercial Appeal announced that the man named Samuel Tyser had died and that he had wrestled as Stan Lane. It would turn out that he had told his wife for decades that he was Stan Lane. So there's like a switcheroo here. What's going on? I can't understand what's going on here. And he likely wasn't enough of a wrestling fan to have any idea he was lying. What? So like there was a story that Stan Lane had died, but it was somebody else. And it was just like, okay, I got it. That's very weird. China is the mother. China was like one of the best wrestlers of all, like literally like one of the most breaking female wrestlers of all time. Nothing but respect for China. R.I.P. to the real one. I'm just gonna go through this whole thing. This is just gonna be the show for today. As for Benz's account's side of the YouTube back and forth, the earliest comment available, once more seemingly more likely written by Bobert than Benz, begins with, "Hey Maria, an O blood type, mom, and a B blood type, Stan, makes an O blood type, me. Stop living in denial." Spelling is correct. The person writing in Bobert's voice would continue to take Maria to task in the next reply, claiming that Lane had obtained a photograph of her and asked why he would do that if she wasn't his daughter, as well as if he held on to it. So that harkens back to before. So apparently Stan Lane had like a photo of her, like that he kept around. Seeing how you were not in the front or the back seat, how would you know what went on? She continued. Uh, Maybe you need to talk to your hubby a little bit more about this. He is the one that told my mom she was pregnant, and he is the one that called the house after it was verified by the doctor, begging my mother to abort me. Oh, God. A further reply claimed to quote one of Maria's, which Benz's account claimed read as follows. FYI, Stan does not have B blood type. This is so childish. This is also my last post to you. Stop living in denial. Stan is a great, loving husband. The test results, however, did say that Stan has a B blood type, something that Ben quickly pointed out. Seems as though the steroids have gotten to your brain, she exclaimed, adding that this was what Lauren has been trying to tell you all along. That was from the thing from earlier. That comment thread seems to be the last trace of any development until the unknown date Strawn apparently reached out, which appears to have been between fall 2008 and fall 2012. Benz claimed in her 2012 letter to have found out from Strawn about a criminal case in North Carolina. That further solidified her belief that Lane was the father. According to publicly available newspaper articles and court records, in September 1990, just a couple of months after the Lane paternity test, the prospective father in a different case, Larry Milton, showed up at Genetic Design's Mecklenburg County facility for a paternity test. So this is another paternity test? Just as Lane had in July, there he received an offer to falsify the results as negative for $500. What? He accepted and signed the forms with phlebotomist Karen Weary. So, okay, this is the same paternity test. This is the one from 1990. It's just that these are the claims being made in 2012. So let's look at the newspaper article. Yeah, okay, that was what we were looking at earlier. The documents. Okay, so there, yeah, that was somebody getting busted. That's the same thing. I thought it was happening again. The scam was discovered because Weary bragged about it to her husband, only for him to turn her in when they split up in 1993. Oh no. He went to law enforcement. Melton immediately fessed up, and a retest showed that he was indeed the father of the child at issue in the paternity case. Weary's fate was inevitable at that point. She was convicted and sentenced to a 6-month term in jail. Oh no. This sounds, I mean, I'm thinking that Stan Lane's the father and he's like the worst kind of deadbeat dad, the one that like literally he bribed, like this is, I mean, this person was convicted of falsifying a paternity test. And oh no. Suddenly, Benz had a much better idea of what she thought had happened, especially since the Melton case was prosecuted only because Weary's ex remembered the name, and law enforcement believed there were likely many more victims in the Mecklenburg County. In addition, a polygraph examination of Weary taken in 1995 found the surviving court records from her prosecution registered a no responses to questions asking if she falsified other tests as deceptive. She said so. Basically, she's saying, did you when asked if she falsified any other tests? And this is the phlebotomist, the person that takes the blood from Stan Lane. Like, did you falsify any other tests? She says no, and the polygraph said that she's lied. Now, polygraphs are not reliable, as the article notes, but this person is not somebody that can be trusted. She was literally tried and sentenced to 6 months in jail for lying on a lie detector test. I don't know when I mean, not for lying, for falsifying a blood test. I beg your pardon. I don't know when I've had something that made me as angry. Mecklenburg County District Attorney told Charlotte Observer in 1995, "We don't know what's out there." She died at 55 in 2012, less than 1 month before Benz wrote to the Bureau of Investigation. The letter includes an attached evidence packet, a letter dated a week earlier than Benz's. So she can't even like you can't even like question her directly about this anymore because she's not, now she's dead. Oh, um, Benz's letter, FBI letter includes the FBI letter includes in an attached evidence packet a letter dated a week earlier than Benz's, which was purportedly sent from Strawn to Stan Lane. Long story short, I'm writing to you about Lauren, the letter reads. I'm sure you're wondering why I'm involved in it. You're not the only one who has wondered that, as I surely would never have expected to have become an intermediary in this issue. But suffice to say that circumstances and events unfolded, and I did not refuse to follow the promptings that have now led to me writing you regarding this paternity issue. And yes, I do believe that Lauren is your daughter, and thus I'm standing in the gap for her at this time, praying for a bridge of reconciliation between you two. This and her mother have been praying for, she and her mother have been praying for this for many years too. Of course, I know nothing for a certainty, but I have evaluated all the reliable evidence, which leads me to that belief. And when I look at the photo, like the one I've enclosed taken last week of Lauren and her husband and baby Roman, I Jean Lane's mother, I see Jean Lane's mother and you. Ah. Videos of Berbert from a few years later when she was doing publicity for her restaurant and happened to have long blonde hair arguably show that resemblance more strongly than the current images of her as a brunette. Ben swore to noticing such a resemblance the second page of a paternity affidavit in 1887, citing similarities in the eyes, nose, and jaws. Well, let's take a look. Okay, this is the affidavit. I want to see pictures. Is there pictures? All right, I gotta find pictures here. Let's look at the video.
The soap has done so much for me. Our skin is a critical part of like how we.
But let's flip the script, because in the town of Rifle,
Okay, this is an ad for
Colorado,
Shooter's
that's
Grill.
right, Rifle, in a restaurant called Shooter's Grill, you can openly carry a gun, and so can the waitresses. Take a look at the sign on the door. All guns are welcome here, and as you can see in the pictures, the waitresses.
So let's just back it up. Her grill is like literally open carry, like at this restaurant. And she had, I said it earlier in the thing, but for people who joined us, she like made up a story. Lauren Boebert made up a story about like somebody getting beaten to death outside of her restaurant. And she like what actually had happened is somebody had overdosed and died. And she basically just used that as like a way to sort of repurpose her like little crappy restaurant into like the open carry restaurant, the Second Amendment restaurant.
Got down your burger order with a loaded gun in the holster. Their 27-year-old owner was the first to actually carry a pistol, and so the waitresses liked the idea.
Well,
so
she's got brown hair again. That doesn't help.
But there are strict rules in place, one of them being to keep all weapons holstered unless the need arises. So let me bring in the owner of Shooter's Grill. She is Lauren Boebert.
In the future, they'll use GPS data from 9 months before the birth, same the same place. I mean, it's actually no, that's Lauren Boebert right there. Okay, there's a shot of her. Not great. Let's find Stan Lane. I know that there was a shot of him from earlier. All right. Come on. No pictures of Stan Lane? All right, there's one. No, I noticed that the nose was very similar. All right. Research. All right, here's one of her. And here's one of him. I mean, I noticed that the nose is very, very similar. Other than that, the jaw structure, that's one of the things that they said as well. I mean, I don't know. This is a little bit weird for me. Right wing is SO, you're fascist? What? What are you saying there, DS? So anyway, let's continue. All right. So I told the defendant that he was the father of the child. Her reaction was abortion. Yikes. Defendant, not that like abortion is bad, but like telling somebody to get an abortion is like that freaks me out a little bit. Defendant responded, offered to pay abortion expenses. The child resembles the defendant. Body structure, eyes, nose, jaws. Huh. The Bureau of Investigation did anything to look into the substance of Benz's letter and supporting documents. There's no evidence of it in court records or her subsequent social media posts. A public information officer told the FBI tells me that the old investigative records are unlike those in any other states, such as Florida, not considered public record under North Carolina law, and thus not subject to public records request. Womp womp. In 2013, Benz wrote a cover letter for a SBI letter and evidence packet, forwarding it to the Seminole County Court to file in her old case. This is like, I mean, this is when, let's see, this is 1986. You know, Boebert at this point is in her like mid 20s. Nothing else was filed in that case after that point, but weeks later, Benz and Boebert got back to posting about Lane on social media after several year break. Did thou knowest? Benz tweeted on October 13th, tagging the account of the now defunct wrestling blog. Sweet Stan paid big money to deny his child in 1990, and his first cousin did a DNA test with this girl, and they show as related. Stan Lane is in big trouble. He thought it it disappeared, but no way. Look for this in the news. Now that is kind of like a weird turnaround that like his child that he like potentially his possible child that he like possibly fathered and like completely just ran away from is now like a congressperson. it's a funny turnabout. 4 days later, her account posted on the Facebook wall of Wrestle Reunion. I guess it's another wrestling website. A fan convention run by the aforementioned Sal Correnti, a friend of Lane who keeps up to date with wrestling news and serves as his conduit for wrestling-related business. This time, though, the post doesn't appear to be written by Benz or Bobert. Instead, it was written in the voice of Lane's cousin, presumably Cindy Strawn, which would go on to confuse many observers in 2021 into thinking that the claim was that Bobert was the product of incest between first cousins. It isn't, and she's not. Yikes. Yeah, we are on Twitch at the same time. We're doing Twitch at least for now until we get affiliate, and then we'll figure out, like, I know there's like rules against dual streaming when you're like affiliate, but as of right now, we're not there. Will Stan be there? Asked the curiously framed post. Perhaps he can introduce his 26-year-old daughter, Lauren Roberts Bobert, who has refused to acknowledge all these years. She looks so much like his mom, who just turned 93 and sadly has never met her granddaughter and 4 great-grandchildren. By the way, I'm Stan's maternal first cousin. There might have been a 1990 paternity fraud, but 2013 autosomal DNA is awesome. Google Lauren Bobert or email me for photos and supporting documentation and her contact info or her mother's contact info. So this is like a real like crap starter here. This might be Pandas for Bernie. I don't know. Like, who is Pandas for Bernie? Because that's like the person that kind of kicked this whole thing off. When taken together with tweets, the suggestion from multiple voices on Benz's accounts appears to be this. In several weeks between Benz's writing the Seminole County Court and the series of posts, Bobert and Strawn got kinship analysis or similar DNA tests that showed that they were related by blood. In the same general time frame, a Lauren Bobert account commented on 2 videos from Stan Lane's post-wrestling career as an offshore boat racing announcer. I guess that's what you do after you're done wrestling. Imploring Gangster of Love, that's Stan Lane, to Google the name Karen Weary. That's the phlebotomist that faked she faked blood tests. At least in 2021, this doesn't immediately yield anything in the way of relevant results or articles about Weary's prosecution if you don't add additional keywords, but that may not have been the case in 2013. Oh my gosh. That's when the digital trail goes cold. Since becoming a public figure, Bobert has told reporters that her parents divorced when she still lived in Alamonte Springs. That's a lie. While Bobert often talks about her mother calling her a strong woman who never had an opportunity to realize her full potential, she won't talk about her father, whom her mother divorced when the family still lived in Alamonte Springs, Florida. Reads a September 2020 article by Grand Junction Daily Sentinel reporter Charles Ashby. Ashby confirmed by email that this was something that Bobert had told him, though he wasn't sure where he had originally heard the story from about her father. There was no father listed in either the Orlando Sentinel birth announcement or her birth certificate, and no record exists of such a divorce in Seminole County Court's online system. So that's totally a lie, which goes back well into the 1980s and shows no hits for divorce cases involving Sean Roberts. There were also no hits for Sean Benz or Shauna Benz, as well as no relevant hits for Shauna Roberts. So there's no evidence, like, it's fairly clear that, or at least there's no evidence to suggest that, like, she's claiming that her dad was divorced, but then also they're trying to hit Stan Lane for paternity suits. Mom was never married to anybody named Roberts. Yeah, this doesn't hold up. I think this is like a story that like she made up just to kind of make herself seem, a little like to hide the fact that, she doesn't know who her father was, which is again very, very, very sad. I mean, like, she's not the like Lauren Bobert, of course, especially not right now, isn't the most sympathetic figure, but like, I don't know. There's something like really that can fuck somebody up about like having like a deadbeat dad. Other than 2 articles, there's nothing about Bobert's father in the news reports from before the Lane post resurfaced. He has been, as always, missing. I'm a mother myself, explained Mecklenburg County Assistant District Attorney Janine Brown to the Raleigh News and Observer in 1995 for an article about the Karen Weary case, the lying phlebotomist. I want to do everything I can to make sure that no other mothers are suffering because of this woman. Yet, for more than a quarter century after Weary went to prison, no other cases or even potential cases of her malfeasance resurfaced until now. Regardless of what Stan did or didn't do in July 1990, it's hard to blame Shauna Benz and Lauren Boebert for seeing a conspiracy here. Unfortunately, they started seeing them everywhere else too. Yes, because now Lauren Boebert is the Q congresswoman or the gun congresswoman, and Shauna Benz is like super Q. I mean, like you saw the post from earlier. She's like all up into the Q business. So that is a wild roller coaster of a ride. Nice job on that article, David. Maybe we can get him on the show and we can talk about this a little bit more directly. But holy crap. Like, I mean, it is entirely possible, if you ask me, that the dad is Stan Lane. I mean, like, and he's like yeah. I mean, like, there's no good guys in this story, really. I don't know. What do y'all think? You want to be a boat racing announcer now? Yeah, me too. Like, boat racing seems like it would be a lot of fun to be an announcer for. Just catching up on chat. Yeah, in the future they'll use GPS. I mean, they know where Stan Lane was. I mean, like, he didn't deny like having like sex with the mom. Um, basically, like, he's just basically saying that he's not the father. So, wow, that's insanity. Like, this is a wild story, and I don't know if anything else is going to come out of this, but pretty wild. Anyway, that was a lot of fun. That was really, really interesting. But yeah, that's going to be it for today. I think I'm going to do a show tomorrow. So keep an eye out for us this Saturday. I got to make up for yesterday. I don't want to, I don't want to short you guys out for content. So check us out at 8 o'clock tomorrow, maybe a little bit late. Yeah, people aren't born bad. You're right about that. Jenny, people aren't born bad. Makes sense now. I mean, like, even if she had like a father, she could have very easily still become a Q person. The mom could have still become a Q person, and Lauren Boebert could have been still the gun lady in Colorado that became a congressperson as well. I mean, like, it's these things do have an impact on people. I don't want to like overstate it, but I also don't want to understate it. Like this isn't the reason that these people are who they are, for sure. But yeah, that is definitely a possible way that people can go down that line. Anyway, yeah, that was a wild ride. I'm gonna go ahead and drop y'all off with good old Andrea. Let me just drop y'all a link, and I will see you tomorrow. Luke, Lauren, I am not the father. Oh gosh, Sarah Palin is. Oh no. Oh no. All right, bye bye.